Kia ora, this program is brought to you by Wellington Access Radio. Wellington Access Radio, make your voice heard.
Welcome back to the Blackhouse. We're here on
106.1?
Yeah, that's
106.1 FM.
106.1 FM. And basically, we've got a full house today. How's everyone?
No, everything good?
Yep, black and beautiful.
Wonderful. I just want to welcome back Eddie. He's now here permanently, getting your flat and sorted out, all that stuff.
Flat sorted out. Like, you moved up on Monday, and it's been a busy week, but no, it's good to be up here, so.
I'm really glad you. And we've got Nanny. She's going to be another co-host.
Yeah, hello.
Long term, going to cover me while I'm up with my legs in the air. That doesn't sound right, does it?
Girl, I got you back.
They'll be on the bed.
Yeah.
I don't think that's not an improvement. Like.
No.
Black and beautiful. Anyway, let's keep moving.
And we got some other friends in the background here. We got Tay. How are you? Good. It's so good to see you here. And of course, our social media superstar, Onkyo. Handling the Instagrams, because I can't handle that shit. Like, that's just too much for me. Okay, we've got a guest today. Our guest is an underground rapper, sound engineering, mixing, mastering, light beat making. Has been quite active in the Wellington hip-hop community. He runs a monthly hip-hop platform that's held in Wellington. It's the only showcase of its kind in New Zealand, and it has acts from all over the country to take part in. It's open for Lloyd, Vince Staples, shared the stage with Shay Fu, Poetic, and Israel Star. I'd like to welcome Galen Hindley, a.k.a. Double G Makeabanga, to the Blackhouse. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. How's things going? How's things?
It's not too bad, actually. I'm really glad you've been able to come through. I'm going to be handing a lot of the talking over to my sidekicks over here, because,
Oh, yeah.
put him on the spot.
That's good, that's good.
But first of all, can you tell us a little bit about your background? Where you from? You know, the typical questions, the typical Kiwi questions.
Yeah, that's cool, that's cool. So, Galen Hindley, underground artist, Double G Makeabanga. I'm from Cape Town, South Africa, and I'm immigrated in 2006, and I've been active in the Wellington music scene for about 11, 12 years, just putting my hands in things. But a little bit about my background. Came from Cape Town. Growing up there was pretty interesting. Like I always used to say, it felt like a movie because every day was like a sequel to the previous movie. Like,
Right.
it's crazy. It's crazy to think that I've made it to the age of 31 and actually to the other side of the world and have raised a little family. So it's crazy, and I'm just grateful to be here. It's they say the land of the long white cloud. I say the land of opportunity if it's used right and utilized in the right way. But you need to put yourself out there to utilize it in the right way. But yeah, it's been a exciting journey, and just coming to New Zealand, learning the different cultures, and I like to immerse myself in everything. The first thing I've realized when I got here was there was multiple colored faces everywhere. Because I come from South Africa. You at school, you're going to see brown and black people, and maybe 1-2 white people at your school. And that was my whole primary, high school. And I came here, and it was like, I run into a brick wall, and I was like, how do I act?
Right.
Like, what do I do
if the white people see me?
Where do I sit? Who do I talk to?
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, I walked into Uphart College, and I was sitting on the plane coming to New Zealand, and I saw this kid, and I knew he was from Cape Town, but we never met cross paths. And no history, nothing.
Could
And
you tell by just looking at him?
Yeah,
or,
I could tell he was
or the
South
way
African.
he walked? Yeah.
That too, and he had baggy as hell clothes on, so he was from Africa somehow. So, yeah, and he had the hat to the side. And I walked into the school, and I was like afraid, but I have this thing where I always wear a smile on my face. Like, I've got a really good mask, and I can convince people that, no, I'm okay. Life is great.
Yeah.
And they would believe me because I can function. I'm really high functioning. So it's not a bad thing because I love being busy and active. So walked into the school, and I'm standing there, and I'm like, oh, crap. Where the hell am I? And it finally hit. It's weird when you're on the plane coming to another country, it doesn't quite hit you until like a couple of weeks later when you realize things aren't the same. Where's the noise? Where's the music? Where's the commotion? Where's the gunshots? I'm just saying that was one of the things. The train kept me up, and I was just like, what's happening? But it was crazy. Walked in, and I was like, okay, I'm here. I might as well throw myself into it. And guess who walks into the gate? This guy with a black Currymore bag, and it's one of those bags we wore in South African high schools, and collar up and baggy ass jeans, and I'm like, this is the guy from the plane.
Right.
Yeah. So I met my best friend
Yeah.
on the second day of school because he wasn't in the first day, we were sick, and we're still mates. He's been to Auckland, back to South Africa, and back, and he's back in Uphut, so we're still friends today. It's really cool.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's me.
But me and him pretty much cowboys, and our group expanded and expanded, and when he moved to Auckland, I threw myself into every other circle of any type of ethnicity because I wanted to learn. And then when I met a Samoan person, I was like, teach me something cool in your language. And I said, no, not swearing. I'll teach you that in my language. That's my trick.
But that's the first thing you
Yeah,
learn.
you
though, is all
learn.
the
And they
words.
gave me all these funny and quirky phrases, but it's so good. Like, I feel I can relate to a lot of vast, like, different ranges of people and of different backgrounds and ethnicity because I soak up culture, and they're all interested in South African culture because it's quite colourful.
And also, like, in New Zealand, we thought actually, like, growing up here, people thought that Africa existed somewhere in South Africa. You know? So, like, I'd say I'm from, my dad is from East Africa. And that's Tanzania. Oh, where in South Africa is that?
Yeah, I can see that happening. I can see
my
that happening.
goodness.
It's like the first thing that I did cooking class because I like to cook, and the teacher asked me, so how was it like going to school? Was it quite different? And I go, okay, this is the lady that irritated me the first couple of weeks. She kept telling me, speak slower, Galen, speak slow. And I was like, does this work, miss? And she actually came and she goes, so tell me about school. I said, I had a lion guarding my front yard because the military was everywhere, and I rode an elephant to school, and we still have long drop toilets. And I left her with that for about a week, and she told the whole faculty.
Oh my God.
And then
no.
everyone was so fascinated, and I said, I never said that. And I said, how dare you?
Oh, trouble.
No, yeah, I'm trouble. I like to stir the pot. It's good. I like to see people under pressure, but it was cool. It was good.
Yeah, it was mean, like, as we were saying, like, when you said, like, the weird thing, like, when, like, you said the train kept you up. And it's like, I remember, like, I went to live in Brazil for a couple of months and lived in the States, and it's weird in those situations, like, when you said, like, with gunshots, it is like a danger sense almost, and it's the weird thing to adapt. When I came back from overseas, it was like, the weird thing to adapt to was, like, not having to kind of be conscious of what was around me all the time.
It took me 3 years to not carry a hammer in my bag.
Yeah.
It sounds dangerous. I was 17, reckless. I'd never hurt a soul. I can always talk myself out of a situation, and I pride myself on that. I'm quite peaceful. That's the last resort. But
That's actually interesting. I actually still have issues with breaking and entries. There was like, but this is more of an era thing. The 80s was quite violent here too, and I still I've always slept with a machete or a hammer next to my bed. Yeah, it's just something like you do second nature. Yeah.
I got a metal baseball bat.
Right, there you go, you know? But I mean, like, we don't often share these things, so don't hold it against me.
Right? You know, like, it's normal. It's normal. I think in the Black community, all of us are suffering for some kind of major PTSD. We've seen people die. That's, like, almost all of us. We put a smile on it because you don't want to shock people.
Yeah.
But in a room full of other Black people, you can be like, no, that's just straight up true. I'm sorry. I seen it. I've seen it too many times, and I'm terrified, and I'm not going to let it happen to me.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. When you think of that situations too, like you feel that you've seen that happen, but it's not quite real
Yeah.
until you step away from it and you see someone else's reaction.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
And
real.
I told my colleague next to me the other day, he goes, what's one of the worst things that you've seen that you couldn't do anything in? And I said, that's every situation. You can't do much. And he goes, really? And I said, no. And I said, one example, I went to the school bus. This guy came walking across, limping. And I'm like, okay, what happened to you? A youth pulled up, drifting, threw him on the back and took off. And still today, this was 18 years ago, I still wonder what happened to him.
Oh my
What
God.
happened to that guy?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And that's what you're left with, and that's what you kind of sit there and don't realize until you say it and see someone's reaction. Like, oh my gosh, what did happen? And, and I said, thanks for putting the question.
Yeah.
But hey, talking about it is one way of getting it out and actually healing from it. And we need to really know, and it's hard. It's so hard we away from that now. And we need to realize that we can leave it in the past and realize that you weren't directly responsible and there was nothing you could do because we carry stuff and guilt for things we don't even need to burden.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
that's just the type of people we are. Like, I find that I want to help everyone to the point where I'll take those clothes off the back of my arm. Like, I just can't switch off. And my wife's the same. It's crazy. And I said, that's not a good combination. We're always burnt out.
Yeah.
But hey, we feel it was for the right reason. And I can go to sleep knowing that I changed one person's life or 5 minutes of that person's life. That's all it takes. If each of us can do that, imagine how much happiness there'd be. It's crazy.
No, that's real.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, no. I was like, I guess, yes, you said, like, so you came in over from South Africa and was it 06?
06.
Yeah, 6. I guess what was the kind of, like, the driving behind that kind of shift? Like, was it a bit, there's a kind of a wave of people leaving South Africa around that kind of time?
Yes, there was, because my uncle left because he was an All Black supporter. that's the funny things with males, and especially, like, because in South Africa, I still hate this, they call me coloured.
Yeah.
Because I'm brown.
Yeah.
And they've somehow convinced the whole population in the whole world that that person is made out of a black guy and a white guy. He's mud. And the coloured people still can't escape the stigma. And I Googled the other day and I just like had a look and I saw, oh, wait, my granddad said something about the Khoisan, the tribe. And it was the Khoi and the San. One was hunter-gatherers, one lived off like just agriculture. And when these two clients came together, guess what? A functioning society happened. And then the settlers came in and wiped that all out and pretended they weren't there. Similar to what happened in New Zealand and all over the world, like people getting put in Jamaica. They took people and put them where they felt like it. Oh, the boat's getting too heavy. Let's dump them here.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people don't look into the little facts. But it's crazy. The frustrating part for me is like, that being wiped kind of stopped me from giving my son an education on that part because I want him to know every little bit. And it's hard for me to teach him Afrikaans when Afrikaans isn't technically my native tongue. That was also a forced upon language like English. It was refined Dutch. Yeah, we clicked as well and made sounds and we communicated. It worked. You know, don't fix what isn't broke. But hey, the world is weird. And we still see that same struggle.
So you were talking about it before, and I do actually have a little question, which is, so here you are in New Zealand. You come from like a hardcore past. You could write a blockbuster film with explosions and shit, right? And then now you're here in like where it's stressful because of social dynamics, but otherwise it's safe.
Yeah.
My question is like, how do you like? Obviously, the answer is with difficulty, but I want to hear a little bit about how you transition, like your journey of transitioning from like hardcore adrenaline rush to a more peaceful, like the peaceful stress.
Okay. The first thing I can actually identify is like where that defining point for me came was, I had a group of friends who was here already, so they were like halfway immersed in the culture. So that step was a little bit easier.
Right.
So I just kind of followed what they did. But I've always been outspoken, so I'd always try to take control in some way and be like, you guys want to go bowling again?
Yeah.
Okay, no, let's do this.
Yeah.
And I don't like to party per se, but I just like to be around people.
Yeah.
So as long as I can sit in front of a fire pit and chat all night about whatever and just have fun talking about the past.
Yeah.
And the turning point was losing those friends. I had to put myself in other social circles and me wanting to pursue music. there is when it happened, and that's when I hit a brick wall.
Oh,
because
shit.
I'd walk into a room, they'd assume I'm Pacific Islander because of how I look. I've got a flat nose and I'm wide on top.
Yeah.
And they say, Sole. And I'm like, sorry, what does that mean? And it was literally in that first few, I didn't know the terminologies. And they go, bro, where you from? And I said, Cape Town. Then they'd be like, no. And I said, yes.
No, because they don't have that imagination that Africa's got multi shades of brown. Like, they've got, like in Tanzania, there's people that look like me, you, and you. You know, like that's. They've got this one fixed idea about what African is.
Yeah, because they look at the UNICEF ad and they think that's all of us.
Oh yeah, the kid with the flies.
You've got to be honest. You've got to be honest. Like,
Oh my goodness.
like it's crazy. Like I do my own things to support. Like I support my charities and stuff, but I've got problems with those organizations because the corporates need to stay in a job somehow. So for me, I'll rather look for somewhere where I can directly donate, and I'll do that.
Right.
And I'll look for people that I know is back home, and I'll donate it to their churches because I know they do a lot of goodwill. So that's how I'll support. And any extra I do. And I don't speak about it because I don't want to be glorified for that, because I do that for me and my soul.
Straight up, black people need to give each other awards more. Just for nothing. Honestly, for looking good today. Like, here's your Grammy for looking good today. Fly as fuck. Done.
That's it. That's awesome. Like, honestly, like, I feel like this is awesome. Like, I feel so honored with you asking me to come out here. And when you talked about what it was about, I was like, I've got a lot to say.
Awesome.
Like, and when you asked me the little topic of the last question, I won't touch on it, but I was like, yes, I'll talk about that, because we need to talk about that, and that's what's important. Because if one person speaks, maybe the next one will. And that's what I'm hoping will come out of anything I do.
Awesome. Hey, I want to go to a song. I'm just going to roll the dice here. I want to play Two Steppin'.
Yeah.
Do you want to introduce it for us?
Rundown.
Okay, so Two Stepping is actually, this is my brother from Auckland, and he's from Rocklands in Cape Town, and we met over here. He always sends me through vibey ass stuff. He's got this YG style, but he's just a really cool soul. So he sent me the song, and it's just called Two Stepping, and it's talking about looking cool and what people perceive you to be. So two stepping in my Nikes.
Oh, and this is with the beloved captain. I actually hosted him.
CPT's Cape Town.
Right.
So he can always identify his hometown.
Well, I want to give a shout out for the beloved, because he came down with Quaylen Mathley, and they did the Newtown Festival a couple of years, and we hosted them at home. Yeah, that was so cool. So here's Two Stepping. This is Double G Makeabanga.
This is unbelievable.
Ain't nobody step like this nigga right here now. Two stepping in my Nikes. No money in my pocket, but my soul so pricey. Heart turned cold, I'm a Pisces. That's right, that's right, that's life, that's life. So we gotta roll the dice, so we gotta pay the price. That's right, that's right, that's right. So we gotta roll the dice, so we gotta pay the price. I'm a king like I'm Luther. I meditate like a Buddha. But there ain't nothing like them old times. It was the best times I ever had. The absence of my father made me want to work harder. I'm getting smart about a minute. Check. Smoking on the Buddha while I'm chilling with the Buddhist meditating. On my way overseas, nigga please. Crazy part about it wasn't all mac and cheese. You niggas lied to me. I had no choice but to settle with the size. Fuck that shit, nigga. Two stepping in my Nikes. No money in my pocket, but my soul so pricey. Heart turned cold, I'm a Pisces. Hey, yo. Two stepping in my Nikes. No money in my pocket, but my soul so pricey. Heart turned cold, I'm a Pisces. Hey, yo. That's right, that's right, that's life, that's life. So we gotta roll the dice, so we gotta pay the price. That's right, that's right, that's right. So we gotta roll the dice, so we gotta pay the price. Hey.
Rolling loud with my nigga, that's no lie. I got a lot of demons, but you never see me cry. Step into the world of a Gemini. Am what I am, I got nothing to hide. You ain't ready for that smoke, I'm a twisted individual. Walk around, stay woke, I got no time to act emotional. Thinking back to the days we caught up in the streets. Everyone in the world now didn't realize we were into deep. Growing up in society, fearing for your life. No lessons learned, can't prepare for the strife. And the struggle, we just huddle, trying to keep out of trouble. Getting that money up, these haters trying to pop my bubble. Ayy, two stepping in my Air Force One. While I got these bitches looking, stand tall, I never run. You will never catch me slipping. Dreams fading as the sun goes down. We're never lacking, dropping bombs right now. Make it bang.
Two-stepping in my Nikes. No money in my pocket, but my soul so pricey. Heart turned cold, I'm a Pisces. That's right, that's right, that's life, that's life. Say we gotta roll the dice, say we gotta pay the price. That's right, that's right, that's right. Say we gotta roll the dice, say we gotta pay the price.
That was Double G Makeabanga with The Beloved Captain. I really like those dudes up there. I want Quaylen and Captain to come back again for another Newtown Fest. But you guys got to get your freaking applications in. It's like, what is it with this African time, man? Like,
it's called we're stressed out and we're doing our best.
Yeah, surely we got to do like a Blackhouse festival.
Okay. You know, like the applications for the Newtown Fest to get your things in is July. And this year we had Esther and Zoe, and we had the girls from Kirikalu, and I think that was about as black as it got.
I'll put one in.
Yeah.
I'll put one in.
Get
as
it
soon as
in there.
Drops, don't worry. As soon as it drops, I promise.
Yo, so we're on music now. So I guess I guess we've touched on a bit about your music career side of things. But like, so you've got you put together was it almost like a collective, like a movement? Was it IMO?
So the in my own lane. So IMO stands for in my own lane. It means you're in your own lane. Bring what you got. Bring yourself. And the cool thing that we've actually managed to make strangers do is, if you turn up to the show, this is one of the rules, you can't leave until the last act's on.
Oh, nice.
Yo.
You need to support every artist. And if you break the rules, bye-bye, your shot for next time is gone. They all stay.
That's
Wow.
beautiful.
Yo, that's cool.
And because we get artists from all over the country, we've had as far north as Kataia, and it's all the way from Dunedin, Blenheim, Christchurch, and Kaikoura. We went all the way, and they came out of their own pockets because they believed in what the platform stand for. No one in Wellington was doing anything to say, the door's open, come one, come all.
And it's strictly hip-hop, yeah?
Hip-hop, R&B, we've got a drag queen beatboxer.
Oh,
Yo,
yeah, I know her.
that's me.
Molly Mason.
Molly Mason.
Molly Mason.
She's dope.
Shout out to Molly Mason.
Yay, Molly, we love you.
Yeah, aka Betty Noir.
I'm before her
Amazing
this.
person.
Yeah.
Amazing person. And to the point where I can call Molly and say, yo, someone dropped out. There's 20 minutes to fill. Molly go, yes. I'll do some comedy too. And I said,
Right.
you don't need to, but yep, I'll bring my loop pedal
Girl
too.
will backflip into the slot and slay.
But yeah, Molly is someone to see. And if anyone sees Molly pop up on Instagram or Facebook, go see Molly.
Yeah.
You won't be disappointed.
I was actually with her last weekend. She's wonderful.
Yeah, I'll try to get her to come out next week too.
So IMO's at Moon?
Yep, so the base is at
yeah.
Moon Bar at 167 Rutherford. And Moon Bar's been hosting us for the last 7 years. So before IMO came in, the name, we had playing with the name at the beginning. We started with one show called Ignite to tell Wellington we're igniting the flame. And we did a show, and we got everyone that was popping on social media at the time to come to the show, and it was a success. And we had video footage and everything up and the promo, and so it was a good taster to tell people this is what we are capable of, because we were nobodies. We were literally people out of their depth, no experience, no qualifications, but a passion and a drive to do something right and include everyone, because everyone was excluded.
Right.
Look, biting off more than you can chew and then fucking chewing it is a black #1 skill.
Yeah. So I did this thing where I didn't want to be a hero. I told people I'm a renegade because I'm the anti-hero. I'm going to piss people off and make them know that I'm not afraid to take the heat that comes from it. And I'm not a tall guy, I'm not a big guy, but for some reason I walk through Wellington Street, I can wear a blue jacket, a red jacket. My face must say I'm going to fuck you up or something. But no one does anything to me, and I'm quite happy for that, because I will do what I need to do to get where I need to get. So I took it. I took it because there was nothing of a kind. And I say this in my music, they shut the door, so we took the whole building.
No, dope.
And we can now, I can tap any venue in Wellington. I've got an open door policy. If they've got a date, I can have it. So that's something to keep in mind as well for other artists wanting to do anything. I can put a show together, and my wife does all the logistics normally, but I'm taking over because she's taking a break. she's done it for 7 years. She deserves a break. And it's tough, but we can get anything over the line.
Well, I definitely know that you guys pack the scene out at Moon, because I've gone past. I'd heard about IMOL, but I didn't realise that was what was going on there when I've driven past. And it's just been packed.
Yeah, it packs itself out, because I think people, Newtown being so diverse and quirky, I love Newtown, because you get people in all shapes and sizes and colourful characters come in, and it's amazing.
King Homeboy lives there somewhere, because I see him walking through the streets.
Yeah, King Homeboy is a good friend, and we can literally just say, bro, can you bring your presence? And we've got VJ Cubeman too, that does visuals, and he just came and gave his time for free too. Homeboy came, yep, I'll jump on, last minute, sweet. But the crowd loves him, and they love what was happening. And we pride ourselves on this vibe. We call it a vibe because no one fights. We don't have security. And nothing bad has really happened in the last 7 years. And if something happens, we deal with it there and then, get management involved. Anything happens to people because of what's happening in Wellington at the moment with all the sexual harassment stuff, which is sickening, to be honest. We have things in place. And when we put our events together, we actually call anyone. It can happen at any time. So we have some things in place to say, how do we support people that go through that? What can we do as an organization or an event management team to prevent this from happening? So we surveillance cameras while the gig's going. So we're working double time, looking at the people. If you look too drunk, if we see a girl's too drunk, I'll call her an Uber myself. And I'll find her phone. And I went as far as phoning her mother at one of the events because people don't know how much to drink.
Exactly.
And the spiking happened one time, and the sober driver took a glass of water, and he had to be driven home. So Moon snubbed that out. Now there's no more open jugs of water.
Right.
And everything gets handled.
Yeah.
And for us to have that peace of mind, it's quite stressful knowing that there are predators out there and people that are coming out of their comfort zone. They leave work as a normal person and then they switch over. I'm going to go hurt someone tonight.
Yeah, it's just bizarre.
I can't get... How do you do that?
I don't know. It's like when I came back from Australia, I noticed that the energy was different. And I've only been back since 2015, the end of 2015. Very different from the 90s to the mid 2000s when, we had, I remember the Fugees came and then, we're partying with Prayers and Wycliffe in the lab. It's like not even a thing. And, everybody that stopped on every train stop from Paikokariki, everybody was going to the same event. Yeah. And it was just it was really different. I think me and Iman talked about this. It was a very different vibe. And I think when I came back,
well, I remember in the interview you were talking about it wasn't uncommon to walk down Cuba Street and you'd have a group of guys somewhere on Cuba Street freestyling.
Yes.
Yeah.
The B-boys, they left. I don't know what happened. And some of the goth culture that just was everywhere and the punks and the nerds. And it's like it dropped out. And I don't know what happened, but we are not richer for it.
I know where one of them went. He went to Australia. He went to Australia and became one of the greatest b-boy, b-boy bands in Australia. Wow. That's solo. So, yeah. But, I don't see the B-boys around anymore. And I think that was, and also the events that we used to have here where it was skateboarding, beatboxing, all the elements.
What happened to the Hip Hop Summit?
Yeah.
I know Queen Shell from up north tried to do it and pulled it off, the last one. That was 10 years later. But where is it?
I don't know.
Somehow they worked and they couldn't. I don't know.
I know a lot of people left though. A lot of people left in the mid 2000s and went to Australia and just left the work. And we've gone through this kind of situation in New Zealand where the economy's just gone from bad to worse for the last 30 years.
Yeah. Basically.
So, I think that's
I would say
part
that's
of
a spinal column of the problem. People are poor and they need to find work. And you can't not eat. That's all there is to that.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, it's those fundamentals. People are chasing the fundamentals of just life, like you always say.
The triangle of need, the pyramid of needs. It's that bottom rung. Once that goes out, everything starts shifting.
That feels weird because you see, you look at something like, I don't know, the States, and obviously you don't want to compare everything to the States, but the UK as well, in those kind of points where when stuff gets worse, you always it seems in those cases the creativity goes up. Suddenly you get in the UK from New Labour and essentially Austere, all that sort of stuff, came grime.
I actually think I see what you're saying.
And it's weird because then I guess obviously it's a two or maybe it's not taking out parts of that pyramid of needs.
Do you think it's like a perfect storm of poverty and Facebook, so everyone has like immediate ability to blame one another, and then social circles just fall apart? Because that's my take. That's like straight up my take.
That's pretty much what happens. Everyone's got an opinion.
Right? Like, I try and avoid Facebook for just that reason. Like, somebody comes to me at 3 a.m., I'm like, bitch, I'm tired. Well, we ain't doing this now. I'm sorry. I need to sleep.
So I suppose then, I guess, for Wellington, I guess, I know Dunedin's had similar problems, like, trying to kind of regularly kind of get artists together and that sort of thing. And it's weird because that's students as well, and I think everyone's just busy studying. But then, trying to. But I guess, what are kind of, I guess, the big blocks that, I guess, hip-hop in New Zealand kind of faces? And I guess, what are the best ways to kind of get on top of those and actually kind of continue building those communities? It feels like, obviously, in my own lane, feels like the way you've kind of described it makes it sound like that's, like, a really good approach to that, where it's kind of, it's almost, like you said, like, the amount of people who drop out last minute and then be like, oh, I've got someone else who can come in straight off the bat.
Yeah, it took a while to get to that point, like, to have a roster of artists we can tap into. We love the fact that artists can be independent in today's market, but let's be honest, the industry don't like that.
No.
Okay, so you'd make any type of noise and you don't want a hand, they snub you. And that's just what happened. So that's why we literally had to take the building for people to take me seriously. I couldn't secure gigs because I wasn't playing enough and they want to see like a resume. So I would knock on doors. I always had a flash drive in my pocket. And I had 3 scenarios, 10, 25 to 30 minutes, and I had music ready to go. So I'd knock down and I'd stand next to the stage always because I can hear what the stage crew is saying. And I would hear, oh, thingy's not showed up. And I'd look and I said, who am I familiar with? And I'll knock at someone, even if it's the venue owner. Yo, someone's not turning up. I've got a set ready to go. You can save the day.
Damn.
So I came with the angle, I'm not going to approach this guy directly because it's easy for someone big to say to a small fry, not now, it's not your chance. How do you know that? How do you know? Don't you think I've been sitting in my garage practicing these 3 sets for the last 5 years? And that's literally what it took. So I jumped on stage at the Grand and the guy said, I'll phone you tomorrow. And I said, sweet. He followed through and I got more gigs. And I got Lloyd from America. I opened for him. Turned up and there was no one. DJ played, crowd filled up. I performed and I was lucky to have like 10 people that I knew. I never turned up to a show with my whole crowd because I wanted to gauge what I could do with someone else's crowd. And I can still do it today. It's quite fun because your crowd becomes my clay. And I tell people, I'm going to take you on a sonic experience. I set the scene. I'm going to take you on a sonic experience. I'm going to talk to you, and then I want you just to go batshit crazy at the end of my set. And I literally say, and I engage, and when I'm on stage, when Galen leaves and Double G Makeabanga shows up, I'm an ignorant bastard on stage, but like I engage the crowd to let them know it's not an ignorant bastard. This is just hella confidence. Like I'll shake my shoulders while I'm performing, and I'll like, and when my heavy stuff comes in, I'll roll my eyes back into my skull, and I said, "This is not that fun, Galen, anymore." And I come off stage, and people goes, "I'm confused," and I'm like, "Why are you confused?" He goes, "That was amazing," and I said, "Well, then I done my job," and I said, "Tell me what I can do different." And I'll ask the smallest person, what can I do different? And I know like 9 out of 10 times they'll be like, oh, maybe the beat bass was too loud. And I said, okay, I can change that. And it goes, but I can't critique you sonically because I've never experienced that, so I can't gauge it. And I said, okay, I take that too. That's a positive thing. And I always encourage weirdness. Because if you can't be weird, you're not going to discover the next thing or the next quirk. So I encourage weirdness in my household, and I have a song, and it's called Weirdo. And it's just something I throw out on my SoundCloud, but I made it for my son, so he can be fine, because he's a quirky fella. And I said to him, mate, be a T-Rex if you want. Walk the pack and save as a T-Rex, or grab the milk for me as a T-Rex. And I said, we're all weird, and it's funny to be weird. So it's cool.
Yo, and I guess speaking of sonic experiences, like, should we jump to something else?
Yeah.
Was it Self-Destruct?
Yeah.
Run us through Self-Destruct then.
So the whole IEP was produced by a Polynesian friend. He's called Jamin Esse. He goes by Ja Beats. And I literally just reached out to him because I heard one beat, and he said, I'll do a whole EP for you. So me and him worked over a course of like 3 years and put this together. I was picky because it didn't sound right, but we got there. So Self-Destruct was the last song of the EP, and Jamin actually done the chorus for me, and I didn't know he sang until he done this for me. No. So he blew me away. I hope he blows you guys away. This is Self-Destruct.
Let me tell you what the time is. 420 where my mind is. Never quit, boy, handle business. Don't share my secrets, I don't need no witness. Lydia, you're about to let it all out. Please get my name in your loose lip mouth. Ain't nobody touching me. Please say your best to kill me softly. Oh, Jai be back on the beat. Killing the scene, haters don't see. Let them self-destruct, defeat. These busters keep losing to me. Persistent, my drive and my energy. Fueled by my hunger, no Hennessy. Now let me just handle my business. Success for both of us, have bunch of bitches.
They fuck them other haters, we good. Cause they be talking trash about me. Keep talking till you fade away. Keep talking till you fade. They hating on me now because they wanna take what's mine. So I let them hate and self-destruct. Cause they know that it's my time.
Substance abuse got them feeling like heroes. 10 minutes of fame, I'ma watch them go zero. Boss with a ship in it for a minute. Constant evolution, I'm in it to win it. Handle my shit, I show up with no squad. No lying on stage when I rock to God. Jollity, we here to play. Killing these haters, got no say. Slaying these shows, I ain't phased. Left to the back of my head days. Persistence by driving my energy. Fueled by my hunger, no Hennessy. Now let me just handle my business. Success for both of these amateur bitches.
They fuck them other haters, we good. They be talking trash about me. Keep talking till you fade away. Keep talking till you fade. They hating on me now because they wanna take what's mine. So I let them hate and self-destruct. Cause they know that it's my time.
Welcome back to the Blackhouse on 106.1 FM.
Hello.
That was Self-Destruct by Double G Makeabanga.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're talking about before, like just going back into like the state of hip hop and in New Zealand and sort of things, and like I saw a debate. Must have been Masbo Key and I can't remember someone else on Instagram, and it was almost like a discussion about New Zealand artists using like American accents and stuff in their kind of music and that sort of thing. And it was about at what point is that something we should be encouraging versus I guess trying to push like our own voices. And I think like I know one of the actually I want to see if you had any kind of thoughts on that sort of I guess debate.
Yeah, there's always been that debate. It's quite interesting because I'm always hit with that in circles of artists wherever I go, and that's around the country too. It all depends on where your cadence come from. Like, if you've been listening to the 90s era, you're going to sound like the 90s era. For me personally, I started loving hip-hop in the 2000s. I listened to Wu-Tang, I love the Fugees, I've got my go-tos. But where sonically for me that I really wanted to rap was when I heard Lil Wayne. And in my opinion, for me, Lil Wayne's a goat of some sort because he's still going. Like, the only reason he stopped was for legal terms. We won't go down there because that was like the industry being the industry.
This is good because this was exactly what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
I was like, where are your hip-hop roots? Excuse me, sir. Where are you rooted? You know?
So for me, like, when it comes to an R&B sound, because I do a bit of everything, I'm quite versatile, I lean towards Ty Dolla $ign because he's classically trained and that man can play 14 different instruments.
Yo.
Damn.
So that's quite inspiring. And when I actually followed into Ty Dolla $ign's story and why he's making music, it was quite inspiring. So his younger brother was convicted but not convicted. You know how they do that in the States? They hold you in jail and they don't even have a conviction for a robbery. Just because he fit a description. They still don't have proof, but it's been 11 years.
Wow.
And Ty's actually got an album called Free TC, and the whole thing's dedicated to raising funds to fight his brother's case.
Right.
Even after that all went through and millions of dollars spent on legal cases, he's still stuck in jail.
Jesus.
And the injustice they raised, just with the campaign of that album, they showed how many people were in jail, how many African American people were in jail.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, it was all African American people that they ticked this list, and they said the cases and the charges, and some of it looked petty. And it's just like, oh, this guy smoked a joint, now he's in jail for £1. It's literally like that. And that inspired me to have a different approach in music. So when I do music, I have a message, but I need to make music firstly for myself, and then I need to see what I capture in that moment, and then I rewrite everything that I wrote in that song in the first instance to have a message in a sense. So I'm working on a 3-part EP at the moment, and it's going to have 3 different sonic experiences. One's going to be melodic, one's going to be straight bars, and one's going to be the experimental tape where I'm going to say, fuck it. Because I'm so diverse, I want that on its own. I want you to have a trifle of sounds,
Right.
all the flavors.
Trifle.
Yeah, you tasted it, right? We'll sprinkle the walnuts on top. So the first one will be melodic, so it will have a modern sound, like I'll just say a modern sound. The second one will have an old school feel. I don't like to do boom bap.
Yeah.
That's a preference because we've oversaturated the playing field. Everyone you see that's popping has that 90s sound, and this good question with the state of music. That sound is still being glorified as being the king sound. Therefore, the other sounds are being neglected. There are so many artists from all ethnicities that's trying to jump on, but they don't fit the boom bap sound.
Yeah, like I could say I'm a little bit guilty about that because that was my actual era.
That's fine. That's what you knew. I can understand.
But I think that's part of it, right? It's the thing for me, like where like I love a lot of 90s stuff, but also like I really got into hip hop from like the 70s, 80s kind of things. But it's that weird thing where like it's this thing where it's, I guess probably with the internet as well, where suddenly the 90s is continually being held up as this kind of God era, and there's some fantastic stuff.
It's called the golden era for a reason.
But then you forget, like, amongst your Biggies and your Wu-Tangs and everything like that, there's some absolute garbage in there.
That's facts. That's facts. You can't have a full album and it's just gold. Some people pull it off, but there's normally pop singers and stuff that's popular. Like,
and I've heard like R&B's coming back.
Yes.
Like my son's like right onto this R&B thing at the moment.
I actually dived into your son's YouTube when you sent me the link, and I listened. I could see you. He has a trap soul vibe.
Yeah,
like the Bryson Tillers, like what Party Next Door. There's a market for that. Yeah. That's got its own niche. Like with hip hop at the moment, even Wellington, I was shocked because when I started, I was the only one that sounded like 2000s, fighting against a whole lineup of boom bap artists. So it was weird for the crowd to stand there bobbing their heads to the lyrics and stuff. And I come, but it's a party, yo. Like, put your hands up. Like, but it was hard, but they got it in the end, and that's what's important. It took a long time, but they got it. I got the spot. I've played the DMCs, where that happens every year, the countrywide DMC championship that sends the people to the States for the bigger competitions, and that's run by DJ Raw and DJ Shan, all the honchos of Wellington.
Yeah.
And I've been personally asked by them to come, and I feel honored when they do that because I know I'm a dime in a dozen. So for me to ask is a win, not just for me, for the other people that's trying to bring out a sound that's experimental. And it's important. Look at Kanye. Everyone, if he put his sound into thoughts, you'd laugh at the thoughts. But once you listen to the sonics, musically, that man's a genius. Personally, I don't know what the hell's going on there. But like each one to their own, he's human at the end of the day. We all got breaking points. But like I said, you can't critique that man's sound. And if sound is going to be what makes the world go round, like it has been, I can't see why more can't be introduced.
Shall we go to this next song?
Was it I?
I.
Yeah, do you want to introduce that?
Yeah, so I is actually the song that inspired the whole EP. That's why the EP is called I. My son came up to me and he literally just said, I. And I said, that's clever. And I said, trialed it out in my sets, and I just made the crowd say I. And by the time the single dropped, they said I every time the chorus hit. So it was like saying, "This is me." Like it starts with "Look, homie, no hands. I'm whooping like a T-Rex." And that's because my son loves T-Rex. He asked me to put T-Rex in a song, so I made it work. I just thought like small hands whooping a bull, and I was like, T-Rex can do that, and he loves it. And when the song plays, he goes. So it's cool. It's real cool. So.
Okay, this is I by Double G Makeabanga.
Look, homie, no hands. I'm just whipping like a T-Rex. Carnivore getting hella flex. My money ain't getting none of that. I'm on the rise, like watching closely. Wanna jump on my wave, better do it properly. Hypest rapper, that's hands down. Oh, foe, I got it now. Get in line, cause my hotline blinging. I tell them, oh no, now got them singing. Ask me what's like, well, my guess is yours. All you gotta know is we got plenty more. GMG, where the party's at. We got beats, we got shows. As a matter of fact, they shut the door, we took the whole building. Liddy and yeah, we burned down the ceiling. I told y'all before. Quitting is a no-no, I told y'all before. I'm just another weirdo, I told y'all before. I do this all solo, I told y'all before. To my haters, tell them, oh no. I am the man in my town, I am the man in my town. I am the man in my town, I am the man in my town. I am the man in my town, can't no sucker hold me down. I am the man in my town, can't no sucker hold me down. Trapping is a fucking hobby. We block the lobby. Popping now and I ain't sorry. Pull the work out if it's scary. I see you hater, but I love my fans. I'm referring to those that understand. Building these bridges are part of the plan. Connecting the dots, supercharge of the man. If they ain't on me, I'm clearly doing something right. Some of these haters out here don't even pull up a fight. They throw shade, but it never fazed me. I will never get mad enough for you to play me. Fuck all this beef shit, we serve it with gravy. We winning again, we stay lit, we are wavy. Hard work, that's all me. Make a banger, that's double G. Cooking up, that's job B. Taking the world, I'ma make you believe. I told y'all before, quitting is a no-no. I told y'all before, I'm just another weirdo. I told y'all before, I do this all solo. I told y'all before, to my haters, tell them, oh no. I am the man in my town, I am the man in my town. I am the man in my town, I am the man in my town. I am the man in my town, can't no sucker hold me down. I am the man in my town, can't no sucker hold me down. Trapping is a fucking hobby. Entourage, we block the lobby. Popping now and I ain't sorry. Pull the work out if it's scary.
And that was Double G Makeabanga with I. Hey, I've got to do a few shout outs before we get back to, and I'll make this really quick because I'm really loving this conversation today. First up, we've got a page up on our Facebook page. Just go to the Blackhouse at 106.1 FM. And if you can give a little donation to our Give a Little campaign that we've posted, it's called Help Son in ICU. This is for a woman from the community. She runs Massafinia's Bri and Massafinia's Corner up in Auckland. She hosts a lot of our artists at her venue, which is out in the country. I really want to go. It's one of the places I really want to go and check out. They have DJs, they have artists, and yeah, her son's in ICU, so she's had to relocate down to Christchurch. So this is just to cover those extracurricular costs, you know, like accommodation, food, travel, and all the rest of it, backwards and forwards. Also tonight we've got if you can give a donation, I'm just again give a donation. That would be really nice. You'll find it on our Facebook page. Also, we've got at Havana Bar tonight the hardest working reggae artist in Wellington, and that's Raz Judah and the Culture Embassy live from 9:30 to 11:30, and that's free. And if you're in Wanganui on Thursday, Old Mecca Supreme are playing the Porridge Watson at 30 Drews Avenue. Shout out to Iman Star and King Homeboy's going to be there. And yeah, you'll find those tickets on Event Finder. And also next Saturday, the Ethnic Communities Climate Response Forum is going to be at the Lower Hutt Event Centre from 10 o'clock. And you'll find all those links on our page. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to you two.
Oh, yo, oh, gee.
I know, right? Throw it at me.
What's something weird? Yeah, so maybe I don't want to I'm not sure. Do we want to pick up where we were before? Like,
Well, I do it. Like I was just saying before. My questions are always centered on the Black community and mental health, because we've seen some shit, and you're from South Africa. You've seen some shit, and I don't know exactly how to phrase this question, but basically, like it's the way in which we open up and cope with each other that I'm very curious about. So I guess what I want to ask is, like, what does your support network look like now that you mentioned before that you have that group of friends and that they broke up. So what does it look like now?
Right now, it's pretty. I've got a small support circle. I find that if I do things in a small group of people, even just for life and music, my team musical-wise is pretty small. It's my wife, who's like the organizer, and 2 of my DJs.
Nice.
So that's 4 of us that has our hands in the pot, that makes decisions. And fortunately for me, I'm the one with the loudest voice, so I always get thrown to the wolves and for hosting and stuff like that, but I'm more than happy to do that. I'm an extrovert, and I'm quite a bit of a woo. So that's for music. Home-wise, I've got my mom's sister and her partner. Mom passed away in New Zealand 7 years, R.I.P. And Auntie just literally took over the reins. That's just what we do in our communities. She came over here not knowing why. She just came over for a holiday. I always say I'm a godly man. God has a plan, and things happen for a reason. There's no such thing as coincidence. If it was meant to happen, it was meant to happen. She got here, met a lovely Kiwi bloke, got married. Now she's literally like the grandma to my kids.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And the significant part of her being that support network is she's always been in my life. She was the one I'd cry after, and Mum could go out.
Yeah.
And it was, you have that one auntie. It's crazy. I moved across the world, and somehow a miracle made her come here and find happiness on the other side of the world. And like you said earlier, she was in a really abusive relationship back home, but until she came on holiday, she didn't realize how toxic or how bad it was at that point. But I thank God, and I thank our lucky stars for her coming here, because she's found everything she could ever dream for, and she's happy and content.
It's strange, actually, because when I think about the 80s in New Zealand, and what I was seeing on the streets then, and I look at what's going on in South Africa, there was a lot of similarities going on, and I don't know. Do you think, I just thought that, there's these similarities of colonialism that's also happened in both countries, and we've had this close relationship through rugby for a very long time. I mean, I remember at school, the only stuff that we learnt about Africa at school was the Boer War and apartheid and rugby tours. That was it.
Springbok tour. Level 1 history. Level 1 history Springbok tour.
And I happened to be in school when that tour was on. I was actually in my last year at Wanganui High, and I was the only kid in my history class, I think it was history or social studies, that opposed the tour. And and always constantly being the only African kid everywhere I went back then. So it polarized the whole. There's really good videos on YouTube about that, but it polarized the whole community.
That one. Sorry to interrupt your train of thought. I was just like, that should probably be on.
So, I was just wondering, what do you think about, do you think does that sound real to you, or,
Yeah, that's like my parents were the generation that literally transitioned from years apartheid and years apartheid being abolished. But we all know that those scars were cut. Those scars are deep, and it's gonna take time. And I saw a doco with Reggie Yates from England, and he went to, and it's called Extreme South Africa. Check it out, and you can see what South Africa looks like, and that was 5 years ago.
Right.
And it's nuts.
Yeah.
It's nuts because the power dynamics have shifted so much that you can see who's greedy, who's not greedy. And unfortunately, when you give someone a lot of power, it's up to that person how they're going to handle that power. And, and I say to people, don't look at the race, don't look at what color the person is. That person had nothing, and now they have a lot of power. Some kings go crazy with power. Like, unfortunately, that's the way the world is. We can only learn from our mistakes, and it's going to be a long learning curve. And people feel unjust in South Africa. I'm quite blessed to be out of it because I'm one of those people that itch to make a change. That's why I spoke out on what happened in Wellington a wee while ago. I'm itching still because I always.
Well, let's get into that. I actually saw that that live you put up. So like tell me what sort of inspired that because not many people have spoken on it. So
yeah, the thing is what really got to me is like I always put myself in someone else's shoes. Like I thought to myself, if I had a daughter. I've got cousins with daughters. I've got family members. I've got friends with daughters. I know females, naturally. So I put myself in a position in thinking, our women are life. You guys bring life into this world. We the support role. We play the support role. Yeah, fathers are important, but for us to objectify women is not okay. Straight up, there's no excuse. Harming them, even worse. So for me, I've already have that strong view that we need to protect our women. Just for me watching my auntie being abused and stuff, and mom going through things, all the stuff came back when you realize, oh, this actually happened to me in the past. But you see the impact. So for me, I've grown up, was taught, raised by my grandparents on old values. They told me, you don't put your hands on a woman. Okay, so I believe that goes for everyone. So when this happened, it was like, this is my backyard. This is my stomping grounds. I don't own the city, but this is where I try to make a living, whether it's going to work, working my day job, coming out in the streets. I want to feel safe. Females need to feel safe, even more. And then I sit at work, and this happens. And I see the stream of content coming up, and it's all negative. And, you get people that jump on the bandwagon to get likes and stuff like that. And that's the wrong part. Like, it wasn't intended at first, but you could see it spiraling into that thing, into that way where someone is kind of clout grasping at the wrong situation. Yeah, the message got out. And it was just crazy. But for me, it was the fact that no one said anything. And I heard a person got attacked just for being African. And the pinpoint and the highlight of this situation, I got a lot of people saying, oh, it's not just African men. And I said, no, you're missing the point.
That's
the whole article was pinpointing that these African men done these cruel acts to these women and other people. And it highlighted the fact that they were African. And that was my main issue with it. Secondly, my big ass, I don't like females getting injured or hurt. So for me, it's inhumane to hurt anyone. So don't go and take your frustrations out on other people.
Well, we'd like to thank you for coming. We're down to our last couple of seconds. I'd really like you to come back and...
This has been the Blackhouse.
That program is brought to you by Wellington Access Radio. Get your voice heard.
Thanks New Zealand On Air for funding accessmedia.nz.